And we have some ASL interpreters here standing beside me as well. Oh my goodness. Thank you, all of you, for coming out today. So great to see all of you, and I believe we have more people joining us as we speak. So it's so great to see everyone here who's interested in funding our city properly. So my name is Jen, and I work at Social Planning Toronto, which we are one of the co-sponsors of this rally. I'm also a very, very proud Torontonian. I'm proud to say I grew up in a working class immigrant family in Scarborough, and I have lived in 7 of the 25 wards across this amazing city. And I'm here to call with all of you for a better city. So thank you so much for coming out today and supporting Toronto, bringing attention to what communities need, and asking the mayor and city council to do the right thing today. So we're here today for a peaceful gathering to let City Council know we need more investments to build a better, more affordable, livable, equitable, and sustainable city. We expect to be here about 30 or 45 minutes or so. It's a very cold day, we're aware. So do what you need to stay warm. You can go into City Hall if you get cold. We have hand warmers, we have hot chocolate, we have samosas. There are accessible washrooms inside City Hall on the main floor and more washrooms in the lower level next to the stairwells next to the cafe. So we have ESL interpreters today, so I'm going to ask the speakers and remind myself to speak slowly so they can keep up. And we have a photographer. Where's our photographer? Razim. Amazing. So if you do not want your picture taken, just let him know, or let one of us know, or up at the front, part of Social Planning Toronto, or wearing the vest, and we'll make sure that your photo is not taken. And there's a petition going around calling on the council to fund our city adequately and ensure that there are critical investments for communities. So if you haven't already signed on online or in the paper, the petition, then please look for the folks with the clipboards and sign on today, and we'll present these petitions we collect today to the mayor later. All right, so here we go. My colleague in, not crime, in, I don't know, in good trouble.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Andrea Vázquez Jimenez. I am here with Policing Free Schools. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge the stolen indigenous land that we are on today. That is known colonially as Toronto. The original name is Toronto. This is the land, ancestral territory, and traditional territory of diverse nations, including the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Ojibwe, the Wendat peoples, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. This is now home to many diverse First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples as well. With this stated, it's important and necessary to move beyond mere acknowledgement as if they are check marks. This is not just a checkbox to be marked off. It is both our individual and collective responsibilities to commit ourselves each and every day, including today, to truth and reconciliation, support Indigenous self-governance, support Indigenous self-determination, and hold the City of Toronto to account in regards to the Reconciliation Action Plan. We want to welcome Zachary John and Theo Nazari from Toronto Council Fire. They will be giving a Thanksgiving address in the Oneida language first, and then in the colonial English language. Theo will then provide a brief background on the Spirit Garden, why it was created, and the plans to honor this shared space continuing forward.
Sigoli Sogay, Lanikulas na Leni Agats, Okwali ni Wagitalo, Onya Daag ni Wagahandro. So hello everyone, my name is Zachary John. My Onya Daag name is Lanikulas na Leni. I'm Bear Clan from the Onya Daag Nation. So I've been asked here to open us up with the Garahila Duksla, which is the Thanksgiving address. So first I'll say it in the language and then I will explain it afterwards. Sorhunsi oskanjokwa agwegu uskaji antwa winu ni ngwanigu daite no heladu net kanjokwa kale dukinolha kale anegenos kale awahit kale oyuko uwe kale jenhekwa kale anunkwa gundilio suha kale oskanunt galute suha kale wata ojidaha suha kale adanya dauna dohole ugashine lohawita segolihunt ladi segayundes lolihunte etodri galakwa segolihunte yupisot segolihunte ojistokwa suha segolihunte gaini ngwerige lolihunte skanyata leo agwegu uskaji antwawino ni ngwanigo segwandisu danito ni ojuhage nen ngwanigo dauna odan hadunt. So what I did there was I went through and thanked everything in creation for bringing us together today. I first spoke about us coming together in a good mind, which is really important for an event like this, coming together with one mind, with one purpose. And then I went through and I thanked all the helpers in creation. So Kanjokwa, the people, Yukinulha, Mother Earth, Oneganos, the waters, Awahit, the berries and the small plants. And then I said Oyuko Uwe, the tobacco. Jinhekwa, so that is the three sisters or the sustenance that we survive on. Onunkwa, the medicines. And then I thank the animals, Kendilio Suha, Kale Oskanut being the deer, which is the leader of the animals. Galute Suha Kale Wata, so the trees and the leader of the trees, the maple. Ojistoko Suha Kale Adanyat, so the birds and the eagle, which is the leader of the birds. And I talked about us going up in the sky world and thanking up there. So Ladi Sigayundes, the thunders, Lolihunte Tujigalakwa, so brother sun, Sigolihunte Yukisot, so grandmother moon. Then I thanked Sigolihunte Gaini Ngwedige, the four beings, and Ojistokwa Suha, so the stars. And finally I thanked Skanyata Leo, handsome lake, and then Sugwandiso, our creator. So the important thing about our Thanksgiving addresses, as I mentioned, kind of bringing us together, and that ties into our creation story where Sky Woman, when she came down from Skyworld, she fell from Skyworld, she was caught by the Ojistokwa Suha, the birds, and while she was being brought down, the animals, they came together and they had a council about how they would support her and where she would land and put her. And they came together as a council, and that's the really critical thing. They discussed it, they heard everyone, they listened to everybody, and they decided that it would be that turtle island that we now live on. And then once the turtle's back wasn't large enough for her because she was pregnant and she needed more space, they discussed who would go down and grab that earth from the bottom of the ocean and bring it up to give her more land to be on. And they talked about that council, they talked with everybody, and they decided who was going to go together. And eventually it was that muskrat, the smallest, who went down and he grabbed that earth and brought it up. And even though he wasn't able to hold his breath and he lost his life getting it, he brought that dirt up for Sky Woman and turned Turtle Island into what we're standing on today. So I tell that story in the Gunner Village Buksa today to just really focus on bringing our minds together, talking about that council. Those animals, they all spoke the same language and as one, which is what we really need in these times. Listening to everybody and bringing that all together. So, Yawongo, thank you very much for having me open up today. And I'm going to hand over the microphone to my colleague, Theo.
Hi everyone, my name is Theo Nasri. I want to acknowledge the sun for giving us the warmth right now. And it's great to see so many people here. Wow, it's a good turnout. So let's make some noise. So first of all, I want to acknowledge Zach for that opening. It's really important to center ourselves in terms of where we are. And I want to acknowledge Social Planning Toronto for organizing this important rally. When I heard about this, I was wondering why. Because the budget is positive, there are no cuts. But then when we're seeing what's going on all over the world, it's really important to have these rallies. And I'm talking about the tariffs, I'm talking about the economic intimidation, and everything that's happening. And as a city, can you guys hear me or no? Yeah? Okay. I thought we were going to use a megaphone, but this is so much better. So yeah, it's really important to continue to invest in our social services, in our public housing, in our public transportation, in our nonprofits, and the amazing work that you all do here. I know there's so many agencies, there's so many partners. Like just right now, I heard about the, I got this pamphlet here from the South Asian Women's and Immigrant Services. And so there's so many amazing groups here. And although the budget is positive and there are no cuts, and there's been massive increases to property tax, I think it's important that we continue to have these rallies. We continue to hold our political leaders accountable, and they continue to invest in the city. Because to be frank and honest with you all, this city is not affordable. And we see it every day at Council Fire, right? That we serve some of the most poor and some of the most underrepresented individuals across the city. And they utilize our food bank, they utilize our meals on wheels and all these other services. And you know, it's stark. It's not looking really good right now for everybody. So it's really important to continue holding these rallies, and we appreciate the invitation. I also want to speak about the Spirit Garden. How many of you are familiar with the Spirit Garden? A lot of people. That's really good. It's actually right behind the main stage there, and I've been involved with this project for over 7 years. You know, for as long as I've been at Council Fire, it's been something that I've been involved in. And the Spirit Garden is a truly special place. And one of the speakers earlier talked about colonialism and all of the, you know, the issues that have come from history in the past. I just want to be honest, because the partnership that our agency has with the City of Toronto is really positive. We've had nothing but immense support from the City of Toronto. And we want to acknowledge the former Mayor, John Tory. We want to acknowledge Mayor Olivia Chow. She was here at our opening, our traditional ceremony. And you know, we felt that love. And so the Spirit Garden, I'll say a little bit about it. It honors residential school survivors. It celebrates Indigenous cultural resilience. It was created in part to respond to TRC Call to Action 82, but it is much more than that. It's Council Fire's vision to recreate a better world. And when you go and visit it after this rally, and be careful with the signs, when you visit it, it's a beautiful space for some reflection and you know, some time to think about everything that's happened, the history of this land. So again, I want to acknowledge Social Planning Toronto and all of you incredible people for being here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of Council Fire. Our Executive Director and Board Designate is not able to make it, so therefore I'm here, and she sends her regrets. And we appreciate all of you. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing to all of you.
Thank you so much, Zach and Theo, for that beautiful opening and for grounding us here before we move forward. I really appreciate it. So we are here today to urge City Council to do the right thing for Toronto and for all of us who live on this land, to prioritize building a better, more affordable, more livable, equitable, and sustainable city for everyone, to stop ignoring the needs of those sleeping outside. Stop ignoring those who have to choose between feeding their families and paying rent. Those who spend hours on transit getting to their jobs or to appointments or to get to an accessible subway stop. Those who are feeling left behind by all levels of government in the midst of an opioid poisoning epidemic. And those who are young, Black, Indigenous, racialized, immigrants, disabled, and or on low income, experiencing discrimination and having a tough time finding decent work. We are here today for all of us in our communities who have been hit the hardest by an unfair economic system, bad government decisions, bad funding decisions, and will be hardest hit if there is a trade war. We are here to urge City Council to do everything they can to invest in communities today.
This proposed budget brings in much needed funding, but we need to ensure more, to ensure that no one is left behind. This city continues to balloon the police budget. Shame! Funds that should be going into our communities. This is not the time to cut anything except the police budget, that is. We need sustainable revenue tools. We need investments in deeply affordable and accessible housing. Transit, including Wheel-Trans. Shelter support and expedited housing for the houseless and precariously housed. Additional supports for drop-ins. A properly funded Toronto Community Crisis Service and additional diversified police-free emergency responses. We need support for libraries and expanded recreation, community and youth programs, funding for childcare and school food programs, youth employment programs, evidence-based violence prevention and intervention programs, including for gun violence, such as advanced peace. We need increased services for seniors and people in long-term care. Addressing the climate crisis, including funding climate mitigation and adaptation, along with additional robust social support mechanisms and community-based support models, not a larger police presence or larger police budget. Torontonians have already asked for divestments from the police budget and more investments into communities. Funds need to be reallocated and responsibilities shifted away from police. What we need is political will. Let us push for bold moves, not just for incremental changes. Demanding more supports and resources, not more police. When I say care, last time and again to address root causes was Louis March, a founder of the Zero Gun Violence Movement, a fierce community elder, a fierce community leader, and now ancestor. He was active as well in the Social Planning Toronto-led Budget Coalition and Budget Rally planning for the past couple of years. If he was still with us, he too would be asking us to question police budget increases, and that policing is not the solution. And point as to why aren't the root causes of gun violence being truly addressed, which too are those root causes that address social determinants of health and equity of so many social issues. We keep his legacy alive by continuing the work, knowing that this is an intergenerational struggle, and that this too also continues past budget day.
Thanks, Andrea. So we have 6 amazing speakers lined up for you today to talk about the budget. But before we hear from them, I want to first give a shout out to all the rally co-sponsors who helped support this rally, this Fund Our City rally. So I'm going to call out your names, and if you're present, let us know. So Acorn Canada, Campaign 2000, QP Local 79, Don Valley Community Legal Services. Yes, Small but Mighty. Family Service Toronto. GTA Disability Coalition. Yay. The Neighborhood Group Community transit user, Nicholas Christou. Nicholas will share his experiences with transit in the city. Nicholas. He's coming. They're coming. Speak right into them.
Hello. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? So, my name is Nicholas Christou. I'm a volunteer with the TTC Riders Advocacy Group, and I'm here today to speak on the importance of funding public transit. Like many of you, I'm a daily user of the TTC and rely on it for getting to every aspect of my life. Who took the TTC to get here today? How was your commute? How satisfied are you with the TTC right now? Like you, we are all frustrated and tired of how unreliable the TTC has been lately. The experience of taking the TTC has worsened over the last 2 years as a result of decades of underinvestment and neglect. This cannot continue, as public transit is the backbone of this city, the beating heart that supplies our city with blood. I don't know how hearts work. And without it, the city would not function. We applaud the mayor's proposal to increase and make service more reliable, address the repair backlog, and freeze fares in the city budget. We welcome these improvements and value the effort made to support the critical public services that we all rely on. A fare freeze is fantastic to support, fantastic news for keeping our transit affordable. However, there are still councillors that support increasing fares. Last year, Councillor Brad Bradford and John Burnside, they stated their support for increasing TTC fares. Increasing fares will negatively impact ridership and trust in the system, as well as hurting people who rely on the TTC the most amid the affordability crisis. So while all these promising commitments in the budget are a great first step, we need a new and sustainable funding model for the TTC going forward, and one that relies less on fares. We can't afford to pay for more fares. We need the provincial and federal governments to step up and fund the TTC as well. Toronto generates an immense amount of wealth for the provincial and federal governments, and in return, we are given very little support, especially compared to other cities' transit systems. More funding would help to improve and fix the slow zones on major sections of the subway. If we want to see zero slow zones on the subway, the only way we will ever reach this point is if there is more support from other levels of government. Fares have gone up faster than the rate of inflation over the years, but despite all the increases, our time and experience in the TTC continues to get worse. It is unacceptable. In addition to today, come to our rally on Wednesday, February 19th at 5 p.m. to urge the provincial government to open the Eglinton Crosstown and fully fund the TTC's repair backlog and transit operations. They are not paying their fair share, not you! Today, we urge City Council to support and fund essential public services like public transit. We are urging City Councillors to protect the fare freeze. Thank you for your time and attention. TTC Riders thanks you for your support.
Thank you, Nicholas, for sharing your experience with us as it relates to transit and fighting for more transit and properly funded services. It's something that benefits our whole city. Give it up for Nicholas for his transit experience and thoughts on the budget. Our next speaker is Alicia Alam from South Asian Women's Rights Organization, sharing their thoughts on today's affordability crisis, non-profit grassroots experience of supporting vulnerable people, and how we can create a better budget.
Women's Rights Organization. Since I came to Canada with my family in 2006, I'm also aware that my home, like many others, have long been designated as neighborhood improvement areas for the past 20 years due to the poor economic, social, and health outcomes. Neighborhoods like ours, which have been celebrated for its ambience, diversity, and vibrance, have always been in crisis. Shame! For many years now, we have been sounding the alarms about the impact of austerity measures on communities like ours, where residents have the least economic and social protections and resources. alongside the crisis in housing, transportation, schools, food insecurity, and general unaffordability that my colleagues have and many will address today. We have been sounding the alarms on the widespread reality of precarious employment, especially affecting many city jobs. Lack of access to childcare due to limited spaces and cuts to subsidies, and cuts to a number of violence prevention, social, health, recreation, programs for low-income families, women, youth, gender-diverse individuals, and individuals with precarious status or without status. Shame! These realities have long been normalized in our city and worsened since the COVID-19 pandemic and is infecting other communities and sectors, leaving more of us to scramble for a shrinking pool of resources and supports while we blame our city's most vulnerable who were excluded to begin with. Shame! Underlying these crises is a growing frustration about Toronto's democratic process. Each of our 25 city wards are more underserviced than before, and more of us are alienated from the decision-making process of our city governance. All of this while families shoulder the economic and social burdens created by employers, created by businesses and private entities who continue to pay far less than their fair share in public services which we rely on. Shame! Shame! Toronto is uniquely positioned to model creative and stronger public policies and programs. We echo the calls for a budget that's responsive to the public needs. The city must implement a public standard of employment across all city services and all contracted city services, and guarantee a living wage and dignified work conditions. The city must increase access to childcare by revisiting Toronto's childcare strategy to support the aforementioned public standard of employment for childcare workers, safeguard subsidies, and expand childcare spaces to meet at least 80% of the child population in Toronto. We must recognize housing as a human right by expanding shelter services, subsidizing housing, and protecting renters from predatory housing practices. We must invest and adequately support partnerships with community organizations to expand public health, violence prevention programs, and services for survivors of gender-based violence that is available to all Torontonians, regardless of where they live and their immigration status. Yes! And lastly, we need the city to hold employers and the private sector accountable by implementing equitable tax contribution policies that recognize the responsibilities of businesses, landlords, and commercial entities to our city and public services. Yes! While we stand here today urging our councillors for a comprehensive budget that works in the public's interest, we know that the city cannot work alone. We must continue to advocate for all levels of government to fulfill its obligation for a public response to the compounding and worsening crisis faced by our communities, because we will no longer accept anyone being left behind. Our security is in the because the security of one is the security of all.
Amazing, thank you, Alicia. Our next speakers are Marcia Stone and Stacey Semple from Toronto Acord.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good looking group. Glad you all showed up, and we're gonna have to continue to show up. So next one, bring a friend. Next one, get them to bring a friend. We have to stand up with our voices. And the more voices we have, we will win. So my name is Marcia Stone, and I am the chair of the Western Acord chapter. I'm here to say that the rent is too damn high. All across this city, we're seeing above guideline rent increases caused by this province's government's weak rent control laws. This budget is an opportunity for the City of Toronto to step up and stand up for renters. We need all residential developments in this city that are built using city money to be rent controlled. We need to raise the vacant home tax to 5% and end the loophole that exempts vacant units in big apartment buildings. We need more money for people sleeping in the street. And those politicians are sleeping in their beds. We demand the city council vote today to support renters, to support new immigrants, and to support low and working class Torontonians everywhere across Ontario. The people.
Hi everyone, thank you so much, Marcia, for that. My name is Stacey, and I've been a downtown Toronto ACORD member for just over a year now. I'm here today because the city must invest more in rent-safe TO. Yes, you've hired more bylaw officers, but how does a building get an 80% pass from them only for its roof to flood soon after and displace tenants for many weeks on end? Why is rent-safe TO telling tenants they must capture live videos of live cockroaches, even though pictures of dead ones were provided, before they'll open a file and investigate? Communication, education, and more enforcement is needed so landlords don't get a pass on unsafe living conditions. Because the only one that ultimately pays is the tenant. Provide more money to rent-safe TO rather than the police budget, so they can have a better and higher standards than currently held, and landlords are finally accountable for proper maintenance. Community services are a much-needed investment so we can prevent lawlessness. Please clean up this city.
All right, thank you so much, Marcia and Stacey. Our next speaker is Kanma from North York Harvest Food Bank, who is a model, activist, and community member who accesses the food bank at Albion Library Community Food Space at North York Harvest.
Hi, my name is Kanma, and these days sometimes I have to use the North York Harvest Food Bank because things have become so expensive. Yes. And I know I'm not alone, okay? Yeah, today more than 1 in 10 people are using the North York Harvest Food Bank, or the food bank in general. Yes, can you imagine that? And this is the wealthiest city, one of the wealthiest cities in North America. Yes, and yet 1 in 10 of us need to use the food bank. It doesn't have to be this way. For years, North York Harvest Food Bank has been recommending policy changes to our government, but few of our elected officials took notice. But now we are mobilizing for real change and taking our struggles to the doorstep of our decision makers to put them on notice. Today, I'm joined by 50 of my neighbors here from the North York Harvest Food Bank. We came here from North Etobicoke, Eglinton Lawrence, York Center, to all any city councilors to pass a city budget that puts people first. 2 months ago, our city council declared a food insecurity emergency in Toronto. It's easy to talk the talk, but now we need our city councilors to walk the walk and put the money where their mouth is. We are here to call on every city councilor to support the following. 1. Increase funding in job email programs. How is it possible that during a food emergency, our job email programs are receiving less support in our city than they did last year? 2. Support increased funding for tenants. Very important. You see, the number 1 reason today why people use food bank is the high cost of rent. And that's why we are calling on city councilors to support increased funding to the Toronto Food Bank, the Toronto Food Rent Bank, right? Rent Safety O, and tenant support programs. 3. Support the TTC fair freeze. After paying our rent and utilities, on average, people coming to the food bank only have $7.78 the grocery store to consume someone's food budget. Just traveling to and fro to the grocery store will just consume someone's food budget. And that's why we are calling on city councillors to implement a TTC free fare. 4. Support the school food program. Nearly 1 in 3 food bank users in our network are children, and 1 in 4 children in Toronto are living below the poverty line. And that's why we are calling our city councillors to support funding the expansion of the school food program to all schools in Toronto. Let's fund a better city.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Emma. All right, our next speaker is Briar Perry from NXB Indigenous Youth Agency. Briar, I know you're here somewhere. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Ani Bonjour. I just want to say good afternoon and thank you all for allowing me to share a little bit about who I am and what I do. It's really cold that I have for the NXB Indigenous Youth Agency, also known as Eshkanijik, Nanuejke, Jamaica, Bishka, Benjabayan, a place for healing our youth and where do we come from. At NXB, we support First Nations, Métis, and Inuit youth aged 12 to 29 for culturally significant programming. This programming helps Indigenous youth develop life skills, access employment opportunities, and gain leadership skills to be their own voice. We take great pride in being a one-of-a-kind agency that is run by youth for youth. Today I'm here to talk about something that is critical for all of Toronto's young people, the importance of ensuring opportunities of meaningful employment. It is not just about giving young people a job, it's about empowering them and providing a space within our city where they can thrive and contribute to the community in an impactful way. Toronto is known to many as a city full of opportunity, yet not every young person has equal access to those opportunities. Canada's youth unemployment rate hit its highest level since 2016 this past spring, and Toronto's rate came in even higher at 16.8%. This statistic highlights the urgent need for action to ensure all youth, especially those from marginalized communities, have a chance to thrive in the workforce. Youth employment is more than just a paycheck. It's about allowing youth to see one another in leadership positions within the city that create pathways to long-term stability. No matter how big or small their job may be, we give youth the chance to change the narrative, which in turn changes lives and creates a positive impact on our city as a whole. That being said, I'm calling on the City of Toronto and its councillors to go a step further in ensuring that youth and Indigenous youth are not left behind in these opportunities. We need to create spaces where they can not only access employment, but also feel supported and valued within the workplace. The impact of simply giving youth a chance cannot be underestimated. It can change their trajectory, provide hope for a brighter future, and help them develop into leaders who can give back to our community. I will end on this. Our youth are our future, and if we don't include them, we as a whole will cease to exist. We must invest in them, support them, and provide the opportunities they deserve. Chimiwaj, thank you.
Thank you, Briar. Thank you for letting us know how to create the social conditions for thriving and healthy spaces for young people. Our next speaker is Brian Connolly from ATU 113.
Hi everyone, we're in the middle of a provincial election campaign right now. In 1998, the Harris provincial government eliminated dedicated operational funding for the TTC. Successive Liberal and Conservative governments have failed to restore that operational funding, and the TTC has now fallen into a state of disrepair. We had 13 years of conservative service-cutting mayors that raised the fares of the TTC while cutting service, and the state of good repair fell into a state of disrepair. We had a mayor that was recently elected who promised to bring change. She has done that with last year's budget and is proposing to do that again with this year's budget. The mayor is proposing to create good jobs, general body repair apprenticeships for young kids coming out of high school. She's planning on increasing service and investing in our state of good repair, or should I say disrepair, that will actually increase the service without increasing fares. We need people to support this budget, and you can't get to the top of the mountain in a single leap. Every year we need to be advocating to do better. Good jobs, good state of repair will keep transit moving. So everybody, support this budget. Tell the councilors to support this budget. And with this provincial campaign, ask them where the dedicated operational funding for the TTC is. We need to get people off the streets, good jobs that can afford to pay rent, and be proud to live in the city of Toronto. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Brian, and thanks for bringing a note of positivity as well. So, thank you, Brian, and thank you all of our speakers and all our organizers today, and most of all, thank you. How about a round of applause for all of you that showed up for your meeting today. Thank you so much. So just a final reminder that we have some folks walking around where you can sign a petition calling on City Council and the Mayor to fund our city. And we will present that petition to the Mayor, and I'm going to call on Andrea to close us out.
Thank you, friends and neighbors. Please join us inside if you're interested and available. Many of us will be heading into council chambers or the overflow room upstairs. And we would love it if you could join us. Thank you for sharing your afternoon with us. Take good care. And what do we want? A city for all. We'll never be defeated. And for folks, we are going to be taking a photo, so if folks could just come over on this end, we're going to be taking a group photo. And also, Labor Council has a message, a critical message to share. Some from Labor Council. And then folks could start coming up this way for a photo.
Hi everyone, just very quickly, next Saturday at 10 a.m. in Nathan Phillips Square, there's going to be a Flag Day celebration. There's going to be performances from the cast of Come From Away, and the purpose of the flag celebration is to encourage folks to buy local, buy Canadian, and support Canadian workers. So if you have time, come over on Saturday, 10 a.m. here and enjoy some hot chocolate and some fun music.